Many Egyptians hold to a persistent belief that if the January 25th protests had never happened, the currency would have remained frozen in time. In this version of history, a single dollar would still cost exactly 6 Egyptian pounds today. Economically, that scenario was never on the table. Dr. Medhat Nafe points out that keeping the dollar at that rate was a mathematical impossibility, regardless of whether the political status quo held. Long before the 2011 uprising, the exchange rate was already buckling. While the official price looked stable, the pound was already fluctuating and losing value in parallel markets during the final years of the Mubarak presidency. Treating a decade of currency devaluation as the byproduct of a single political event misses the structural mechanics of how a national economy actually functions. Understanding the pound's decline requires looking past political timelines and examining the basic friction of resource scarcity. During the Mubarak era, the state focused its resources on covering basic human requirements, providing essential localized goods like food and simple clothing to the public. This period felt stable because the volume of citizen needs remained relatively low, allowing the country's limited production to keep pace with expectations. A country's economic stability depends on the balance between its strictly limited resources and the needs of its people, which tend to multiply. Over 20 years, Egypt's ability to generate local resources stayed static, even as the population grew. The scale shifted. Economic stability relies on maintaining this equilibrium between what a country can produce and what its citizens expect to consume. This balance was disrupted by a global shift in capitalism. Markets began inventing new lifestyle wants, blurring the line between a basic necessity and luxury. Dr. Nafe describes these as shocks of the mind. These are economic crises triggered by a change in what a society believes it needs to function, rather than a physical shortage of goods. As Egyptians connected to global digital networks, their expectations changed. The public began to view smartphones, advanced technology, and imported lifestyles as standard requirements. These new, globally manufactured desires rapidly accelerated, quickly outpacing the actual revenue that Egypt's local resources could feasibly generate. Funding this imported lifestyle meant paying in foreign currency, tying the Egyptian economy directly to U.S. inflation and interest rates climbing toward 5%. A local economic engine built to sustain 20th century basic needs cannot provide the capital required for 21st century global consumerism. The January 25 revolution marks the historical collision point where societal expectations of a good life underwent a permanent shift. Because global capitalism continuously invents new consumer desires, local currencies in developing nations face unavoidable pressure to keep up. Developing economies now struggle to stretch limited local capital to cover an infinite spectrum of imported demands. The 6-pound dollar belonged to a world of limited desires. In a modern economy of infinite wants, its return is a mathematical impossibility.